The Pet Shop. Cody and his sister April decide they want a dog. They head down to the local pet store and have a look around. It is a very small pet store that doesn't have many animals. The owner of the shop is a nice old man named Mr. Smith. He walks over and greets Cody and April.
"How can I help you?"
he asks. "We would like to buy a dog," April responds.
Well, we are not a big pet shop," Mr. Smith tells her, "so we only have 2 dogs to choose from."
They ask Mr. Smith to show them the dogs. Mr. Smith leads them to the back of the store where the 2 dogs are. One of them is a very big bulldog named Buster. The other is a very tiny Chihuahua named Teacup. April wants Teacup. Cody wants Buster. They walk outside to discuss. They can't agree on a dog. April suggests they race home for it. The winner of the race chooses the dog. Cody agrees, then tells April her shoelace is untied. When April looks down, he runs off and gets a head start. Cody runs as hard as he can. He really wants that bulldog. He looks back. April is so far behind, he can't even see her. Cody finally gets home. He is tired, but he is happy. He knows he is the winner. April arrives a few minutes after Cody. She congratulates him. They return to the pet store to purchase Buster the bulldog. However, when they arrive, they only see Teacup, the Chihuahua. They ask Mr. Smith where Buster is. Mr. Smith gives the details. He explains that a few minutes after April and Cody leave, 2 boys walk in and buy the bulldog. Cody looks at April, and she holds back a smile. Cody sighs. He turns back to Mr. Smith. "Sometimes you win the race, but not the prize." Cody smiles sadly. "We'll take the Chihuahua, please." Anniversary Day. Chloe and Kevin enjoy going out to Italian restaurants. They love to eat pasta, share a dessert, and have espresso. Chloe and Kevin's anniversary is coming up. Kevin wants to plan a night out at an Italian restaurant in town. He calls a restaurant to make a reservation, but they have no tables available. He calls another restaurant, but they have no availability either. Kevin thinks and paces around the house. He knows that Chloe loves Italian food more than anything else. He knows that nothing makes her happier, but the only 2 Italian places in town are too busy. Kevin has an idea. What if he cooks Chloe a homemade Italian meal? Kevin pictures it. He puts down a fancy tablecloth, lights some candles, and plays romantic Italian music. Chloe loves when Kevin makes an effort. There's only one thing. Kevin isn't a good cook. In fact, Kevin is a terrible cook. When he tries to make breakfast, he burns the eggs. When he tries to make lunch, he screws up the salad. When he tries to make dinner, even the neighbors smell how bad it is. Kevin has another idea. If he calls up one of the restaurants before Chloe gets home and orders takeout, he can serve that food instead of his bad cooking. The day arrives. Chloe is still at work while Kevin orders the food, picks it up, and brings it back home. As he lays down the place settings, lights the candles, and put the music on, Chloe walks in.
Happy anniversary!
Kevin tells Chloe. He shows off their romantic dinner setting, smiling. Chloe looks confused. Our anniversary is tomorrow, Kevin. Kevin pauses, looks at the calendar, and realizes she's right. He looks back at her.
I guess it's always good to practice,
he says. Act like the others. Jack and Lydia are on holiday in France with their friends, Mike and Anna. Mike loves to visit historical buildings. Jack agrees to sightsee some historical buildings with him. Lydia and Anna decide to shop in the city. See you boys when we get back, the girls shout. In the village, Jack and Mike see a beautiful old church, but when they enter the church, a service is already in progress.
Shh! Just sit quietly so that we don't stand out and act like the others,
Mike whispers. Since they don't really know French, Jack and Mike quietly sit down. During the service, they stand, kneel, and sit to follow what the rest of the crowd do.
I hope we blend in and don't look like tourists,
Mike tells Jack. At one point, the priest makes an announcement, and the man who sits next to Jack and Mike stands up.
We should stand up too,
Jack whispers to Mike. So Jack and Mike stand up with the man. Suddenly, all the people burst into laughter. After the service, Jack and Mike approach the priest, who speaks English.
What's so funny?
Jack asks. With a smile on his face, the priest says, Well, boys, there is a new baby born, and it's tradition to ask the father to stand up. Jack and Mike look at each other, and Mike shakes his head. He smiles and says,
I guess we should understand what people do before we act like the others.
A secret talent. Eve is excited to go to her first Dylan Wyman concert in New York. Dylan Wyman is Eve's favorite singer. In fact, Eve tells her mother Janine Dylan Wyman is her favorite person. When they are about halfway to New York, Janine hears a weird noise. Oh no, she says, realizing that they have a flat tire. There isn't much room on the side of the road, but Janine pulls the car over and climbs out. Sure enough, their right rear tire is completely flat. Janine opens the trunk to get the jack in the spare tire. Traffic continues to whiz by at 70 miles per hour. Mom, are we going to die? Eve asks. She is really scared. Don't worry, honey. I'll be quick, Janine says as she starts to jack up the car. Wow, Mom! How do you know how to do this? Eve is shocked at her mother's secret talent. Then Janine takes off the flat tire. Wow, Mom! How do you know to do that? Eve asks in wonder. Janine just laughs. Then she puts the spare tire on. Eve says, Mom, who are you? The entire tire change takes only 10 minutes. They both climb back into the car, and Janine says, I'm so sorry, honey, but we can't drive all the way to Albany on this spare tire. We're going to have to stop and buy a new tire. We might be late for your concert. That's okay, Mom, Eve says. You're my favorite person now. Love is in the air. Every summer, Penny travels to a family reunion barbecue. Penny is never excited and this year is no different. She dreads the drive. She doesn't like talking to her relatives, and she does not like the smell of hamburgers. Penny is a vegetarian. When Penny arrives, she sees a lot of familiar faces. It is July, and Uncle Vernon is wearing a sweater. Uncle Vernon is always cold. It's very mysterious. She sees her cousin Polly. Polly has 6 children. The youngest one screams. Then the oldest one screams. Polly's children are always screaming. She sees many of her other cousins in the field playing softball. They play a softball game every year, and it always ends in a big argument. Penny wonders, again, why they never solve it. Then Penny sees an incredibly handsome man. She stares at him. He catches her staring. He smiles and walks over to her. Penny is very nervous. She is nervous because a handsome man is walking up to her, and she is nervous because this handsome man might be her cousin. The man sticks out his hand and says,
"Hi, I'm Paul."
"Hi, I'm Penny," Penny says. "Are we related?"
Paul laughs. "No, we are not related. I am Vernon's nurse. He is sick and needs to keep me close by. He did not want to miss this barbecue."
"Oh, thank goodness," Penny says, and then blushes. Penny always blushes when she is nervous, embarrassed, or hot. And right now, she is all 3. Handsome Paul laughs and says, Would you
like to go get a hamburger with me? They smell delicious."
Penny smiles. "Sure, I love hamburgers." The best practice ever. Shannon loves basketball. She loves everything about basketball. Shannon always looks forward to basketball practice. She enjoys the workout. She enjoys the competition. She enjoys the time with her teammates. Coach always starts practice the same way. They run 10 laps around the gym and then stretch out. They then practice shots. Shannon usually sinks most of hers. Then the coach introduces new drills. Then they practice the plays they use in games. Shannon concentrates and does her best. She works hard, and her teammates appreciate her for it. She always has a positive attitude and encourages her teammates to work harder and do their best. But today, Shannon twists her ankle and falls down. She cries out in pain, which is unusual for Shannon. She rarely cries. Everyone rushes over to see if she is okay. One of her teammates runs to get ice for her ankle. Ice helps with the swelling. The others help her off the court, and she sits down to rest. The coach asks Shannon if she is okay. She says, "I'm fine. Ankles heal." The coach shakes her head. "Shannon," she says, "as usual, I am impressed with your attitude and team spirit. In honor of Shannon, we should all go get ice cream." So the whole team climbs aboard the school bus, and the coach takes them all out for ice cream. As she licks her mint chocolate chip ice cream cone, Shannon says, "Today, I love basketball practice more than ever." Online dating. Amanda turns on her computer and opens her email. She has a new message. She smiles. It is from Tall and Handsome 34. a man Amanda met on findsnewlove.com, an online dating website. She really hopes to find a new love, and tall and handsome 34 could be the right man for her. Amanda reads the email. Tall and handsome 34 asks Amanda if she would like to meet in person on Friday. He tells her his real name is Mike. Amanda considers meeting Mike. She only chats with Mike on the computer, but she really likes him. He is smart and funny. They are the same age, share many interests, and live in the same city. She doesn't know what he looks like, but she enjoys the mystery of a blind date. Amanda replies to Mike, "Hi, Mike. My real name is Amanda." They agree to meet at Amanda's favorite restaurant at 7:30 p.m. on Friday. They plan to meet beside the fountain in front of the restaurant. On Friday, Amanda prepares for her date. She puts on a dress and curls her hair. She feels nervous and excited. When Amanda arrives at the restaurant, she sees a tall man by the fountain. She cannot see his face. "That must be Mike," Amanda thinks. She walks towards the man. "Mike?" Amanda asks as the tall man turns around. She sees Mike's face. She is surprised. "Amanda Jones!" Mike exclaims. He realizes he knows her. Amanda Jones and Mike Miller dated in high school. "I cannot believe it is you." Amanda and Mike laugh and hug. Well, Amanda thinks to herself, sometimes you can find an old love too. Lost and Found. Donna and her husband John go to the beach every Saturday in the summer. Today is no exception. Donna packs a picnic lunch. She packs the beach umbrella and sun lotion. She cannot find their beach towels. Donna always loses things. The towels are not in the laundry basket or dryer. They are not in the closet either. She finally looks in her beach bag. She sees the towels folded in the bottom. Of course, the beach towels are exactly where they should be. Donna puts on her swimsuit and floppy sun hat. She is almost ready. She just needs her sunglasses. She thinks they are on the table by the door. Or maybe they are in the bathroom. They could also be in her purse. Donna sighs. John puts the picnic basket, umbrella, and beach bag in the car. He checks his fishing poles and equipment. He places them in the car beside the picnic basket. Daisy, their dog, jumps in the back seat. She loves the beach. John is ready to leave. Where is Donna? She knows he likes to arrive at the beach before the crowds. John groans and shakes his head. Donna is always late. Donna searches for her sunglasses. She cannot find them, and she knows John is waiting. He hates when she is late. She grabs her purse and locks the door. "You are late," John says as Donna gets in the car. Donna tells John that she could not find her sunglasses. John looks at her and laughs. He flips down the sun visor so Donna can see herself in the mirror. Donna looks in the mirror and laughs too. Her sunglasses are on top of her head. They were there the whole time. "It is always in the last place that you look," Donna giggles. A Day of Lana. Hi, my name is Lana, and I have a twin named Laura. Even though we were born at almost the same time, look identical to each other, and live under the same roof, our daily routines are really different from each other's. Let me show you how by describing a typical day in Laura's and my life. Every weekday, Laura wakes up at 6 a.m. to get ready for work, which starts at 8:30 a.m. for her. That is not how I live. I never wake up before midday because I love my sleep. Laura, on the other hand, is a morning person. She likes to go for a jog, take a long shower, and have a hearty breakfast before heading out. After her shower, she spends a lot of time putting on makeup. It is one of her hobbies. I don't understand where she gets all the energy from. If I wake up before noon, I need coffee to help me function normally. Talking about coffee, Laura is great at making it. She usually makes 2 cups in the morning, one for her and one for me. I love her for that. By the time I wake up, it is already time for lunch. Therefore, I often skip breakfast, which Laura does not approve of. At lunchtime, Laura often enjoys the food at her workplace with her colleagues. However, she also goes outside to get it occasionally. On my part, I always eat lunch at home. I find cooking for myself very rewarding and relaxing. Moreover, I save a lot of money from not ordering food. I also know that Laura loves to routinely take a short nap after lunch. Her company provides beds for their employees to nap on, and she takes full advantage of that. I, however, cannot sleep at noon. It is understandable since I only wake up right before lunch. Laura is very admirable for her effort. She is a really hard-working person. Most days of the week, she works overtime. I never see her home before 7 p.m. Since I am still a student, I am usually free from 6 p.m. onward. Therefore, I try to cook dinner for Laura and me every weekday. At around 7:30 p.m., we eat dinner together and talk about our day with each other. In my opinion, this is the best time of the day because we can hang out and bond as twins. After dinner, Laura tends to clean the dishes while I clean the table. We both hate cleaning, so we divide the work like that and finish it as quickly as possible. To take care of herself, Laura likes to use a face mask while she reads a book every night before bed. That is her favorite activity of the day. I, on the other hand, sleep pretty late. Therefore, I try to do a lot of activities at night. First, I do some workouts. Then, I take a nice and warm bath to relax my muscles. Lastly, before sleeping, I always listen to music for a minimum of 30 minutes. I have trouble falling asleep, so I often lay on my bed for a good hour before that, resulting in me sleeping at 3 a.m. At that hour, Laura has already slept for 5 hours. On the weekend, it is an entirely different story. Laura's and my routines are practically the same on these days. In the morning, Laura sleeps in and wakes up around the same time as I do, which is at 12 p.m. Depending on our feelings on that particular day, we would choose to eat lunch at home or go out for it. To be honest, though, we mostly go out because we don't like to do much on Saturdays and Sundays. After having lunch, Laura and I spend a chunk of our time cleaning the house. We are really busy during weekdays, so the only time for us to tidy up is on the weekend. Of course, the weekend is reserved for having fun. Therefore, we regularly invite our friends over to the house to play video games and watch movies. Sometimes, if we feel adventurous, We will go to a new bar or pub and have a few drinks. At the end of the day, when our friends have left, we like to give each other some downtime to relax and take care of ourselves. What Laura usually does during this time is practicing her makeup skills. She is so good at it that I think she could make a career out of it. I, however, am not artistic at all. I can't draw, I can't sing, I can't dance. In my downtime, I just like to cuddle with our cat, Milo. Normally, cats are not really attached to humans, but Milo is different. She loves cuddling and sleeping in my bed with me. Let me tell you something funny. Even though we have a cat, Laura is actually allergic to it, so she frequently has to clean her room to get rid of the fur that Milo sheds, or else she would sneeze until her nose is as red as Rudolph the reindeer's. At around 12 a.m., when we usually sleep on the weekend, Laura sometimes comes over to my room and sleeps together with me. We have been doing that since we were little kids. We are always very comfortable when the other person is around. These are the routines that we have consistently followed during the last few years of our lives. In the next few months, I will be moving in with my boyfriend and leaving the entire house for Laura. It will be hard for me to break habits and build new routines in my new place, but I am really excited. I will, of course, really miss this time that I got to spend with my twin, my best friend. A good meal. The children were hungry. They looked out the window. Where was their mother? She walked into the house. The children ran over to her. "Mama, we're so hungry," they both said. She said lunch was coming. She walked into the kitchen. She opened a can of chicken soup. She poured the soup into a pot. She added water. She put the pot on the stove. She made 2 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. She sliced an apple. The soup was hot. She poured it into 2 bowls. She put apple slices on each plate. She put the bowls and the plates on the table. The children ran to the table. "Thank you, Mommy," they said. Then they started eating. The cat and the dog watched them eat. Tell the truth. She was angry at her husband. He lied to her. He lied many times. She was tired of his lies. She said enough was enough. She took off her ring. She dropped it into the toilet. She flushed the toilet. She got into her car. She got on the freeway. She drove the car fast. She was crying. She was very sad. She drove the car faster. She passed many cars. The speed limit was 60 miles per hour. She was going 80 miles per hour. A cop saw her. The cop chased her. The cop turned on his red light. He turned on his siren. She heard the cop car. She heard the cop car. She saw the flashing light. She drove faster. Now she was going 90 miles per hour. The cop drove faster. It started to rain. She didn't slow down. She lost control. The car rolled over. It rolled over and over. She died before it came to a stop. The bridge in the sky. Long ago, people thought that rainbows were magic. Some people believed that a rainbow was a bridge for the gods to use when they wanted to come down to earth. Other people believed that if you could find the end of the rainbow where it touched the ground, you would find a pot of gold there. Today, we know that rainbows are not magic. They are made by sunlight shining through raindrops. To see a rainbow, you must have the sun behind you and rain falling in front of you. Sunlight looks white, but it really contains many colors. When sunlight enters a raindrop, it separates into violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, and red. We see these colors in the rainbow. Often, the colors blend, so we see only 4 or 5 of them. A rainbow appears in the sky when many rays of sunlight separate into their colors and reflect off many raindrops. If the rain is heavy, the ends of the rainbow may appear to touch the ground. Girl is healthy again. Joey Martin is 15 years old, and she loves soccer. About 8 months ago, she started to have headaches. At first, doctors told her that it was migraines. However, later they found out that it was a brain tumor. Joey got scared, and she imagined the long and difficult therapy that she would have to have. However, scientists work hard to find better and more effective ways to work with cancer. Now, scientists are able to cut off the blood supply to the tumor. Such therapy makes the tumor smaller, and the therapy does not have so many side effects. During the therapy, Joey's hope was to play soccer again. It helped her get better faster. Last month, her hope came true, and she could enjoy another game. The ship. A voyaging ship was wrecked during a storm at sea, and only 2 of the men on it were able to swim to a small, desert-like island. The 2 survivors, not knowing what else to do, agreed that they had no other recourse but to pray to God. However, to find out whose prayer was more powerful, they agreed to divide the territory between them and stay on opposite sides of the island. The first thing they prayed for was food. The next morning, the first man saw a fruit-bearing tree on his side of the land, and he was able to eat its fruit. The other man's parcel of land remained barren. After a week, the first man was lonely, and he decided to pray for a wife. The next day, another ship was wrecked, and the only survivor was a woman who swam to his side of the land. On the other side of the island, there was nothing.